Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As already introduced, I'm Colonel Prashant Mishra, and I'm coming from College of Defense Management. And firstly, I thank the Administrative Staff College to have given us this opportunity to actually speak on a topic of a lot of concern, and this is China-Pakistan Defense Cooperation. And in any seminar, once you, as a speaker, the biggest challenge for you is either to take a session which is just before the lunch, and or either to take a session which is just wherein the participant come and sit just after the lunch. So I will not like to kick you into a slumber or your siesta and try to make it an engaging session. So in the next 15 minutes, I will give you a flavor of what China-Pakistan Defense Cooperation is all about. So if you see on the slide, I introduced my topic as a Faustian bargain. And while I call it a Faustian bargain is because as you see the relationship of China-Pakistan, it is not 1 year, 2 year, or 3 years, or a decade old. It is a 60-year-old relationship which has been thriving on mutual trust, friendship, and a sort of strategic interdependence. And why I call it a Faustian bargain is because we have seen the Pakistan side of the story where it has greatly benefited. A lot of speakers would have spoken about how it has benefited it on the diplomatic front, on the economic front. But as the devil's one is does a bargain with you, he always expects something in return. So we are yet to see as to what China will get out of this relationship in the time to come. Okay. So moving forward, the China is actually very choosy about how he goes about negotiating with partner and other countries. Okay. So in case of Pakistan, it is not a strategic or a comprehensive or a cooperative relationship. It has been spelled out as an all-weather partner. Okay. And this all-weather partner means a lot to both of them. So when China says it's an all-weather partner, Pakistan calls it is higher than the mountains, deeper than the seas, sweeter than the honey. So is this all rhetoric, or is there something more to it? So we will see and unravel it during the presentation. And finally, if you look at the map, the CPEC is the flavor of the day. So you have got some stakeholders in this area. China and Pakistan, we know why they are the stakeholders. Afghanistan is also one of the stakeholders because the Wakhan corridor opens up into the areas of this CPEC where it is originating from. And India because it is based on our land. It is our territory, it is our sovereign land where this CPEC is coming. So this stakeholder business is there because there is a contest for a geostrategic space. And this geostrategic space is common for all. So you will see in times to come that there might be a conflict of interest because of everyone jostling for this same geostrategic space, China being an outsider trying to come in and trying to make forays in this area. So suffice to say, as of, if you see this relationship per se is thriving very well. Be in the dime paradigm if we speak about it diplomatically in the way of information exchange, militarily and economically. So there are certain areas of convergences where both Pakistan and China, they agree. And once I say the agreement is that you scratch my back, I scratch your back. So it's a mutual trust which is going on between both of them. So if you see what I say, he has turned out to be a reliable, a diplomatic, economic and military friend over the years. And initially it was seen that it was sort of a covert relationship when he was hiding his intentions but actually supporting him from behind. But the last decade has actually shown very clearly as how he has come out in open forums. He has supported Pakistan and he has also sustained his military modernization, which Pakistan was actually desperately looking for. Then the issue about the strategic interdependence, it is borne out because both of the nation states, they require each other. China has got his energy, he wants to secure his energy corridor, his connectivity from the mountains to the sea, right from the areas of Xinjiang and coming up till the Gwadar. It provides him an alternate route for carrying out his energy security, basing himself in the area of the Indian Ocean, in the Arabian Sea, securing his lines of communication, the sea lines of communication. And Pakistan is also having some, because he is getting firstly an economic corridor, which is likely to bail him out in terms of economy, and the military hardware which is coming along with it. And the point which I make about the strategic vacuum, so you have to understand about China, that China, wherever it will find a vacuum, it will rush and occupy that vacuum. Be it Afghanistan, the US leaves Afghanistan, China is first one to get into a patching with Taliban. US and Pakistan, they had some sort of a differences. Therein China comes in. He is trying to bail them out. The US is certainly out of the equation now. Solomon Island, the China is making forays there. South Asian nations, China is trying to gain popularity out there. So wherever it will find a strategic vacuum, it will go, it will woo the people through the use of money, and it will try to get them on their side. And this is all with the reason for becoming the regional hegemon of at least Asia, and with the sole aim or the core aim of becoming a global hegemon or replacing the US in a longer period of time. There is a co-joint interest between both of them, as I already spelled out. Regional hegemony is what China is looking for. Regional dominance and clout, which he wants to establish a new Asian order wherein he is supreme and everyone becomes a vassal state, or they are following his rules and regulation and his word order which he wants to lay for them. Pakistan, it is very important because what Pakistan is looking forward is a conventional parity. Okay, and conventional parity in terms with the immediate neighbor. Immediate neighbor is India, and therein he wants to get that conventional parity in terms of the military hardware. He wants to get his forces advanced to a certain level wherein he can, that conventional parity which was not existing, he get them to a certain level, and this is being enabled by China again. The other point is about the cost-effective modernization. Now if you see at the graph which is being shown and the one highlighted at the top, see China, sir, how it has transformed the weapon transfer and the imports during the last decade. You see the time from in China basically 11 to 15 and 16 to 20. So China has become one of the biggest guys who is giving him the military hardware. He has replaced the US. US was certainly in during the times of 2006 to 10, but China has become the viable, the good and the friendly alternative, wherein he is getting all these equipment and material at a relatively lesser cost. Now if you get into alliance with US, it comes with attended rules and regulation. You have to follow his protocols. You will have to follow his rules and regulation while you're using equipment. In case of France, the equipment is very costly, and the same equipment of the same quality and quantity is being made available to him at a relatively lesser price. Almost 1/10 the price is what is the difference between an aircraft which is being bought from France and the similar aircraft being bought from China. Okay. My fellow co-panelists told about that we in military are very sensitive about using terms. So I call it not the CPEC, I call it the China-Pakistan Occupied Kashmir Economic Corridor. And this is the China's lure you see. China is planning for Pakistan. So he has planned something for Pakistan, but it's a Faustian bargain. So over a period of time, you will see him taking something back from him. And we already know what kind of a loan and the debt repayment has already started surfacing. And those are the areas or divergences which happen between Pakistan and China. And the last point which I want to make is upon the footprint in IUR. This is not hidden. The overall agenda is this connectivity from the mountains to the sea. He has got his own interest in the Indian Ocean region for securing his sea lines of communication, and Gwadar has become the center point and the focal point for that. Now coming on to the China-Pakistan Defense Cooperation in particular, these are the areas where there is a defense cooperation. I can say it is arms transfer, it is military cooperation and the joint exercises, which is a very important thing to note. The third point is about the technical bundling, which I will cover. Why is the technical bundling very much required in today's warfare? And the co-production and the technology transfer. It is not only importing items, it is actually started co-producing some of the aircrafts which are being exported to some other countries. So that's how it is impacting. And finally, military basing and projection. Now coming on to a busy slide, I will this is a weapon system transfer continuity and durability. Why I call it continuity and durability? Because this is coming over a period of time, and this is a battle test. I will not call it a battle tested equipment, but this is being put forth into exercises, and the durability part of it is also being confirmed. So if you happen to look at the army point of view per se, so you have these VT4 tanks, which was part of the initial MBT 2000 program. It has generally set in. The HJ-8 and the HJ-12 missiles. The HJ-12 missile in particular to be noted, this is the latest missile, a fire and forget missile, which is being given by China to Pakistan. And once this comes in, it is as good as the Javelin missile of the US. So this is one of cause of concern for us in times to come. If you speak about the Navy, sir would be covering in great detail, so I will not dwell much on it. But suffice to note, submarines, some of the frigates, some of the fast-track craft, they are being given to Pakistan. And this is being given main with the purpose of replacing the older equipment which the Navy holds. And again with the sole purpose that it is one of the allied partner. If they want to do something in the Arabian Sea or the Indian Ocean, then there should be some kind of a interoperability, and that's why the equipment is coming on a larger scale. Coming on to the missile program, it's not hidden. 1974, we did a test, and since then the nuclear program has been assisted by China towards Pakistan. His missile program, as on today, is being influenced by China in some way or the other. So you see the missile systems, they are an offshoot of the Chinese missile. So if you say the Dongfeng series, the same missiles are being incorporated by Pakistan for usage. But the most important thing which I want to comment, and I've kept it as the last, is the Air Force. So the maximum money and the maximum import and the maximum cooperation has happened with the Pakistan Air Force. So if you see the 36 J-10, now J-10 is an aircraft which is a 4th generation aircraft, and this is as good as Rafale, and 36 of them are supposed to be provided. The first batch of 6 aircrafts have already been given in March 2022 this year, and they are likely to come more. The point about the JF-17 Block Thunder, this is again, this is the aircraft which is coming in huge numbers to Pakistan, and Pakistan is actually co-producing this along with China, and they have recently started supplying this equipment to third world countries, Nigeria, Myanmar. Okay, sir. So you have to see this, it is not only limited to getting this equipment from China, getting it and training your pilots on them. They are actually started co-producing with the technology transfer. The J-10CE, if you see, this is with the PL-10 and the PL-15 missile. If this comes in, where the talks are already on, this will provide them the capability of a 4.5 generation aircraft, which will be much better than a Rafale with these BBR missiles once provided. And finally, if these J-20 and the F-31 stealth series also comes in, because it seems that with the kind of partnership which is going and the interoperability which they are looking for, and the type of conflict or the crisis which they perceive for them in future. So this is what the equipment exchange they will look forward for. And last but not the least is the UAV program. So UAV program, we all know, we are closely watching the Russia-Ukraine crisis. The war today is all about adaptation and counter-adaptation. So your enemy does something, you come with some new strategy to actually foil his strategy. So we saw in the Russia-Ukraine war what a UAV or a drone, how it can change the course of the war. So same with these UAVs being provided, and some of them coming from Turkey also. So Pakistan Air Force will be a force to reckon with. The second point which I want to emphasize is the enhanced military cooperation. Now you have to understand, equipment once bought, till you don't train on it, it is of no use. And this is being put to good use by both the Pakistan and China. There are a number of exercises which are being planned. In case of Air Force, it is the Shaheen 9 exercise. And how Shaheen 9 exercise differs from the exercise which have been carried out earlier is basically the quality, the quantity, and the complexity. So initially you had an exercise wherein the pilots of both the Air Forces used to come, they used to do some maneuvers in the air, and they used to land, and they used to say the exercise is over. This was just a political signaling that both of us are together, we are friends. But now the exercise has been taken to a different level altogether, wherein they are actually doing live maneuvers. The wingman of a Pakistan Air Force pilot is a Chinese guy who is sitting inside the cockpit, he is guiding him. And they are doing night training, they are doing live engagement exercises. So this is the kind of a complexity they are dealing with. And Shaheen 9 exercise should actually send some kind of a signal to us also that this force with this interoperability will be a force to reckon with. Now again, you have to understand why this is happening all. It has got a vested interest of Chinese also. So China has last fought a war in 1970s, and he has not seen a live situation. And he is equipment intensive as of now. The way he has got about his modernization is beyond imagination. But he has the pieces on the ground. He has a quantity with him, but he doesn't have to the wherewithal to deal with the complexity part of it. And herein comes to the rescue of the Pakistan Air Force, wherein each and every pilot who is there, he is training them as to how to engage in an aerial combat, how to engage into live situations. And that is what the Chinese Air Force is looking for once they deal with them in any kind of a joint exercise. So interoperability in learning is one of the biggest takeaways for the PLA Air Force. And finally, the tech bundling. There are 2 points which I want to make about the tech bundling. In today's warfare, it is not only your conventional means which will lead you to an advantage over your adversary. It is apart from the technical bundling and the usage of the technology as to how you use it during the war. So if you see, I had mentioned about the CENTEC. This CENTEC is a center for artificial intelligence which has been established by the Pakistan Air Force under the guidance of the PLAF. That is, the PLAF Air Force has assisted them in making this center for artificial intelligence. Now, why is this important? So we have to understand that once a pilot gets airborne in the air and he is engaging in a live combat, he is doing some kind of a maneuver, with the artificial intelligence, these maneuvers are getting recorded. And this becomes the data point for him every time he gets airborne. So every time he gets airborne, he is much more aware, situational awareness is very high. His EW packaging is much more, so he is better equipped to fight an adversary rather than a guy who is not using an AI platform. So this cognitive electronic warfare which is being used, this is one which needs to be watched out for, and that is one thing which needs to be incorporated by own forces also. Then about the 5G AI, this is all attended things. The digital Silk Road has already been told to you in the previous session. I just want to make about this piece. This is Pakistan East Africa Cable Express. Now what you have to understand, this is a 15,000 kilometers undersea cable providing you internet connectivity. And this has got no interference. So in times of war, it is coming from East Africa, joining straightway at Gwadar. From Gwadar, it turns into a fiber optics and it is going up till China along this CPEC route. So it provides them with the enhanced connectivity in times of war. And along this with the 5G network and any other digital modernization which is likely to come for the forces. The last but not the least is the Bedu navigation system. Suffice to say, we are dependent on Google or the US satellite navigation systems which we are using for own guidance, but these are likely to fall in times of crisis if we are not in the same block. But it holds very good for Pakistan, because as of now, the Pakistan is using these 35 satellite signals of the Bedu GPS system which is being provided to them by Chinese. So at any given point of time, 24/7 surveillance, guidance to precision guided munitions. So this all is available to Pakistan, which is again to be noted and taken care of, and which is taking this alliance to a new level. So this technical bundling is what we have to be aware of, how this technological bundling will impact the ops in the times to come. Military basing projections, no need to say anything more about it. In the Indian Navy, you see the maps upside down. So you must be wondering why this map is being shown the other way, but for them the terrain is the sea. So that's how, if you happen to see, we have shown you the Djibouti. This is Djibouti, this is Gwadar, and these are the other these bases which have been occupied by China. Now China knows that Djibouti is the base which will not be able to sustain itself because of the co-location of the US and the France bases also over there. So Gwadar becomes for him a point for overcoming the deficiencies in overseas operations and support. So this is the place he requires for himself to making forays in the Indian Ocean region. And why he requires it? Basically for his energy security, his security of sea lines of communication. So, and further what we are looking, that he will be able to dock his SSBNs, he will be able to dock his aircrafts, because a deep sea port, it provides the basing for most of the planned ships which can be used during any type of operations. And the blockade, so if we had the advantage of blocking his sea lines of communication, so with this Gwadar port coming up and with the collaboration between Pakistan and China, so this blockade is also becomes a question mark in future operations. There are certain areas of divergence also. You just saw in whose kitty he is, nobody knows. So you see Pakistan, he balances it very well. I say he keeps doing these bargains with each and every nation state. He has struck a deal with US. He has got his F-16 spare parts and whatever he is looking for. This is a 450 million assistance which has been given to him by US. And China is very angry, or you can say very wary about this. What has been given in lieu of what has been taken. So this is one area of divergence which they have actually conveyed it to the Pakistanis also. Then the protection of the Chinese investment. So we all know about the Balochistan Liberation Army and the kind of forays they are making on the CPEC corridor. And China is again very anguished about the security of this corridor, his own people working out there. And for that reason, there is some raising of the light infantry division which has been done by Pakistan, totally dedicated for security of the corridor. And apart from them, some Chinese troops also located out there. Then we also look for these vital interests of nation states. So once we speak about the vital, secondary and the tertiary interest, so the interests of both the nations are different. China is looking for something else. His interest doesn't lie in pursuing the Pakistani dream. Pakistan has got his historical dilemmas, he wants to pursue that, but China is looking for his own territorial gains. So there is a slight divergence in their point of view over here between their vital interests. Kashmir dispute, again China is actually quite about these disputes. Pakistan wants him to be more voiciferous, but China is maintaining his diplomatic maneuvers wherein he is not openly coming out and speaking about the Kashmir dispute. A formal alliance, again this point has to be noted, that there is no formal alliance between these two states. India, China and Pakistan, they don't have any documented military alliance. They are all weather partners. So it's a marriage of convenience. So I told you initially that you scratch my back, I scratch your back, we are going good. But it cannot be that in times of crisis that China will be standing to support Pakistan in any kind of a conflict with us. But he will expect Pakistan to stand once he is into conflict with us. So that is a kind of mismatch or the divergence which they have. The war machinery, quality and efficacy. Now this is again a question mark, because some of the war equipment which has been given, it has not found to be satisfactory, and which we all know how Chinese make the equipment. It has not been battle tested. So till the time it gets launched into a real scenario, you will not come to know as to how good the equipment is. And debt repayment, we all know. This is that Faustian bargain which I am looking at, which I say Pakistan has already sold his soul. And how he gonna repay back to the devil, this only Pakistan knows as to how he will bail himself out. Finally, my prognosis, my last slide, what point which I want to make is about the defense cooperation part of it, that the twin two-front, this hybrid attack which we think and which is being spoken in the academia, this is a reality. So we have to prepare ourselves for that, because Pakistan is available as a low-cost deterrent option for China. By just fueling Pakistan, he is able to keep India at bay. Because both the nations have got their own ambitions. China wants to emerge in the Asian order as the regional hegemon. It is India which is exercising strategic autonomy. India doesn't fit into that bill, so Pakistan becomes that low-cost option for him, and that's why he's fueling him in terms of economy, in terms of military hardware. Second point is about this China-Pakistan occupied Kashmir energy corridor, and it is a bigger part of the OBOR. So it is just one of the laterals of that bigger OBOR. So whether it will reach its conclusion and the kind of money China will still pump in is yet to be seen. So it has still not reached its conclusion. It's been quite some time, 2013, and we are yet to see some fruitful results. Though on papers it's coming up that China will hold his hand till the last, but we are yet to see as to what kind of money will be still pumped into this kind of a project. So recent when the US, this Pakistani Prime Minister, when he went, so he has got some concessions, he got some money to be pumped and revitalize the CPEC, which was already alluded to in the talk before. The coastline provides a plan, this strategic approach, and this is why the Gwadar becomes very important for him. And finally, the scenarios which we should be looking for in future is, firstly, three kind of scenarios might happen. Firstly is a non-contact coercion, wherein he is using his all non-contact warfare means to actually trouble us. Second can be a coercive muscle flexing, wherein he activates some sort of front and shows his strength and power. And third can be an all-out war. So these scenarios are the ones which might manifest this kind of a relationship in future times in some of these scenarios. So what I feel is, as of now, there is no seeming challenge to Chinese irredentism. Okay, China will continue bash on regardless. He will continue to support Pakistan as his option for keeping India at bay. So this Pak-China collaborativity is likely to grow, and this military defense cooperation is also likely to grow with more number of military hardware and exercises and joint exercises happening in the near future.